Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Armstrong. This is our Facebook Live segment, and we are thrilled to have Jen Ferguson with us, her husband Craig, and she operate the Knot Project, and that is spelled K-N-O-T, like tie the knot. You can visit the website at knotproject.org, K-N-O-T project.org. We will have that link in our comments section to make it easy for you to visit that website. They're the authors of Pure Eyes, Clean Heart, A Couple's Journey to Freedom from Pornography. We're also thrilled to announce for the first time, so if you're watching this for the first time live especially, or if you watch it on the delay, this is our newest ebook that we're putting out. It's called Hobbies and Habits, Fighting Porn with Purpose. It's a very practical guide to help you understand why certain behaviors are addictive and why people turn to porn. Then it talks about taking actual practical steps forward, replacing undesirable behaviors with something better, and worksheets to get you started today. So we're thrilled to have this. We're also thrilled to have Jen to add her commentary to this. You can download this right now. It's absolutely free. It'll be hot off the press because you can print it off on your own computer. So we have a link to that in our comment section as well. Jen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Can you tell me, just give us you've been on last year, I believe it was last May you were on with your husband, Craig. Can you just give us a quick Reader's Digest version of your story, just to give some perspective as we start the conversation?
Sure. Craig and I will have been married 18 years in June. And when we first got married during that first year, I started having this sneaking suspicion that something was going on with him. But I was very naive, I had never engaged with pornography myself. And so we were married in 2000. So like way back when the internet was still like kind of relatively new, right? There was no streaming yet. But I found certain clues, like when I would walk into a room, Craig would shut down the window on his computer. There was a stain on the chair, where it is computer chair. He was very withdrawn, and we were going through some medical issues with him. And so my expectation being a new bride, we have a problem, let's conquer it together, let's figure this out and work together, rely on each other. And his response was to kind of like go into a fetal position and pretend that it didn't exist. And so it was really, really hard that first year of marriage. Our second year of marriage, I finally found what I call the smoking gun in our book. I found a list of websites on his computer, tons of porn images and movies and stuff like that. And so I confronted him with it, and he was like, "I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again." And I was like, okay. Like, I thought that since he had been caught, he would now have motivation to not do it again. And okay, am I back?
We're back. We're back.
Okay, what was the last thing that happened that I said?
You were saying that you thought that since you confronted him with this, that he would have the motivation not to do it again.
Right, and that wasn't the case. And so in the process of over about 10 years, we did this kind of roller coaster ride of him trying to stop and me trying to control and tell him all the ways that he could stop and why he should stop. And it really, his porn addiction just totally triggered a control addiction in me. I wanted to desperately hold on to him in our marriage and just really left no space for Jesus to intervene, because I thought it was my responsibility to fix the problem. So, but through a process of a lot of talking openly and building intimacy between us, and with him getting a good, solid relationship with Jesus, we were able to overcome and write this book. And in fact, writing this book was a huge factor in his recovery.
That's great. So it had a therapeutic
Yes.
as well as practical, that you can help other people. So you have your own story, both with you recovering from the betrayal of this and he recovering from the struggle of this. Again, we are highlighting our Hobbies and Habits, our brand new ebook that you can download right now. It's in our comments section. And Jennifer, can you talk a little bit about the hobbies and habits that were going on prior to getting help for you guys personally, and then what you guys replaced them with after the fact?
Sure. I mean, the main destructive habit was porn and video games. And in fact, Craig playing video games became a sign to me after we had started working on this that he was either engaging again in porn or was really struggling with the temptation. We found in our life that video games was just another form of escapism, which is why we felt like Craig was continually engaging with porn. The pressures of life and his feelings of inadequacy drove him to a place, either in porn or video games, where he could step up and be a man without really having to be one, right? Like, be the person that he thought he should be, manly and tough and desirable in this fantasy world where he didn't feel like he could be any of those things in real life. So I think those were the two most destructive habits. My destructive habit was to perseverate on this whole, on my betrayal and on the what if he does this again? What if he engages again? And all of those fears, which was not productive at all in my relationship with God or in my relationship with Craig. And over time, just like you say in this book, God has really awakened in Craig so many talents and gifts that God has equipped him to use. I actually chose this room because this is my husband's kind of man cave, and you see the guitars on the back wall. My husband's a very talented musician. He's a talented writer. He has recently, because of health issues, gotten back into exercise. Being out in nature. He's a Louisiana boy. And so hunting and fishing, camping are all things that he loves. And all of that was just squashed when he was in the throes of his pornography addiction.
I bet there's a lot of common denominators. One thing that our new ebook, Hobbies and Habits, points out, and it's something that Terry Crews also pointed out when he was talking about his pornography addiction and eventually how Covenant Eyes helped him through that, was there's an acronym called HALT, H-A-L-T, hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. You can probably add S to that for stressed. But I think that defines us a lot. If we're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or stressed, we will turn to something. I see in my life, I'm a coin collector, and oftentimes when I'm one of those things, I'll turn to those websites and start buying a bunch of collectible coins because that's something I just go to. And I know it's one of my, that's a hobby and a habit of mine where I spend money on this and I'm thinking, you know, why did I buy a bunch of things? Okay, I can go back and say, okay, I was medicating something else. I felt stressed, I felt tired, I was hungry. And we need to identify those triggers. So how have you been able to help people to identify those triggers? Because I think people don't look at those triggers. They just say, I found myself in this compulsive behavior and I'm not sure how I got here.
Right. I think learning how to be introspective is a practice. And I think one of the first things that we need to look at is even making a list. These are the things that I turn to when I'm feeling hungry, angry, tired, stressed, or all of those things, so that you have it front and center. So if your habit is shopping on Amazon, having a sticky note on the computer, why am I doing this right now? For me, it was food. So having a sticky note on the food, am I really hungry? And developing that practice of asking yourself the question, am I trying to fill a hole that only God can fill? And I know that kind of has almost become a Christianese kind of thing to say, but the point is that Jesus wants to be a part of our lives in a very real, intimate way. And he created us to desire a relationship with him. And there is nothing that will ever take the place of that relationship. And we will try forever, sometimes, if we don't recognize it, to self-medicate, just like you're talking about. And then we just don't ever get to experience the fullness of this life that he has to offer, to enjoy the life that he has to offer. I mean, the whole reason we have hobbies and habits is to engage with a creative God and to be a part of this walk with this life with him. So I think developing that practice and identifying those places where you run to first is a good first step.
I find myself doing that a lot with sugar. where if I want to celebrate something, like if I did something that I thought was really great, I'll celebrate with some kind of sugar. Or if I'm stressed, it's like, okay, I'm dealing with something very difficult, so I'll go out and get a Slurpee, or I'll get some kind of candy or something. And I just, even through this, has been somewhat therapeutic to me to think, okay, why do I run to these things? There are things in my life that are triggering them, and the times in my life when I'm more healthy, I'm actually more intentional, and I'm dealing with things better rather than running to a substance or shopping or those kinds of things. Very helpful here. Thank you for the practicality. Another practical tip that came right out of Hobbies and Habits, which I thought was very good, was how your physical environment often reflects what's going on inside. So, like, for example, a room where someone's playing video games or you're surfing the internet, just simply opening the curtains, opening the door, making the room more accessible, more open, letting the sun shine in, can actually have some type of internal mental it just creates a more open environment so the temptation isn't as strong. Do you encourage any of those types of habits, or have any other tips that people can go through?
Yeah, I mean, as you can see behind me, Craig guitars are all displayed. Behind me, you see the TV, but all the video games and controllers are actually put away in a drawer. I'm sitting at a desk where he writes and has his books out. I think we are so, especially men, very visual. So
Yep.
if you walk into the room and the first thing you see is a video game controller or your laptop up, front and center, then that's going to be what you're going to naturally gravitate for, because number me.
We're back.
Okay, sorry.
That's
I don't
okay.
know what's going on.
That's all right.
It's a habit you already have. So when you walk into the room and there's something that's already reinforcing that habit, that's going to be the easy road. It takes time and it takes intention and it takes strength to break a new habit. So why not make it as easy for yourself as possible? So when you walk in a room, you see 5 other things that you could also do and that are pleasurable in a good and healthy way, instead of just falling back into the same old rut.
That's a really good point. I know some gentlemen who have either battled porn addiction or have not, that where they have their office set up, where they have the computer set up, they have pictures of their family, so they know who they're living for, and they also, even on their computers, may have a sticker that says "I love my wife," or have a sticker that has the word porn and a circle and a slash through it, just to remind them, just say, hey, you know what, we have something bigger to live for, and you have to intentionally stay away from these, because it's so easy to slip in those things if you think no one's watching.
Craig used to have a sticky on his computer that says, choose this day who you will serve.
Mm.
And it just like, you can't serve both money and God. You can't serve porn and God, because porn by definition is so selfish, and God is the opposite of that.
Amazing story you guys have gone through. Any other practical tips that you're helping other people with? I think oftentimes people don't understand that the issue with porn mostly isn't porn itself. It's they're medicating something in their life, and they're using porn to medicate, or they're using video games, or they're using substance or something else. How difficult is that for people to understand that you deal with?
I think you're exactly right, and I think what marriages need most besides Jesus is communication, and not just communicating about who's going to take the kids where, or what service they're going to go to at church, or how the job is doing, but like really talking about real heart level things. I think we are so distracted and so busy running all these different directions that to have time to just sit, face to face right in front of your spouse and like, tell me what's in your heart. Like, what are you struggling with? What brings you joy? Like, we don't know how to have those conversations anymore. That when there are things that distract us, we get so used to just keeping it that easy way out again. It's hard to sit across from someone and say, I'm really struggling with this hurt me. I feel, and it doesn't even have to do with the spouse, but just being vulnerable and authentic is hard, even with the person that we are most vulnerable and most authentic and most intimate with. But especially when porn is a problem, the wife just wants to like go internal because she's so hurt, and it's so hard to continue to reach out and trust that spouse again. But the only way you're going to make inroads in your relationship is to keep trying and to keep reaching out. And I know that it is scary. I know that it is so hard. I know that it is painful because there are times that you will still be rejected, but God is with you in this. And I mean, there's a whole different conversation about boundaries and all of that. But the point is that porn will not be overcome unless we have something to replace it with. And one of the most important things that replaces that porn habit is true, authentic, intimate relationship.
That lack,
that's what we're built for.
That lack of connectedness will turn us to every other hobby and habit that will try to fill that. And unfortunately, it won't. Jen, thank you so much for your time. I could talk to you for a very long time, and because it's a big topic, but our time is short, and I want to thank you so much for your time and your perspective. Again, Craig and Jen's mission is the Knot Project. You can visit them at knotproject.org. That's KNOT, as in tie the knot project.org. Also, download Hobbies and Habits. So if you're in the comment section, you can click on our link and you can download Hobbies and Habits. Also, check out Pure Eyes, Clean Heart, A Couple's Journey to Freedom from Pornography from Jen and Craig Ferguson. Thank you so much, Jen, for being with us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.